My life with Logan wasn't a fairy tale, not in the sugary sweet sense, but it felt solid. Real. For 6 years, we'd built this comfortable world together in our suburban house. Nothing extravagant, but it was ours. Filled with the quiet hum of shared routines, weekend hikes, movie nights curled up on the couch with ridiculously buttery popcorn, the easy rhythm of knowing someone so completely they felt like an extension of yourself. My name is Riley, and most people would have looked at us and thought we had it all figured out. Logan was my anchor. Calm, steady, incredibly smart. He worked in cybersecurity, one of those jobs where he basically fought invisible wars online, protecting companies from hackers and threats I barely understood. He had this quiet confidence, never flashy, just deep capability. He made me feel safe. I, on the other hand, thrived in the more visible, fast-paced world of tech product management. I was good at it, driven, analytical, always looking for the next step up the ladder. My ambition was a core part of me, something Logan always admired, never tried to dim. He was my biggest cheerleader. Then Julian arrived, our new senior vice president. He wasn't just another corporate suit. Julian radiated power and charisma. Tall, impeccably dressed, with a smile that seemed to promise access to a higher level just by being in the same room. He came from a prestigious firm, brought in to shake things up, and everyone felt it. At our first all-hands meeting, he spoke about innovation, growth, and taking the department to the next level. I watched him, a knot of anticipation and excitement forming in my stomach. This was opportunity walking through the door. Julian quickly started identifying key players, and he focused on my team's numbers. He'd stop by my desk, lean in just a little too close, asking sharp questions about strategy, genuinely listening to my answers. It felt incredibly validating. He spoke my language, goals, metrics, market disruption. Soon, the requests started. Riley, can you stay late and run through these projections with me? Riley, I need your input on this new initiative. Let's grab a quick dinner. I said yes to everything. This was mentorship, networking, my chance to get noticed by someone at the very top. I told myself it was purely strategic. The late nights piled up. Logan noticed. He never complained, not exactly. Just quiet observations. Another late one, huh? He'd say when I got home, the dinner he made sitting cold on the counter. Or watching me constantly on my phone, even on weekends. Your phone's buzzing like crazy. Everything okay? I'd offer quick, dismissive answers. Just work. Julian has big plans, lots happening. Julian again, Logan said one Sunday, his voice neutral, but his eyes held a flicker I didn't want to acknowledge. You talk about him a lot. I snapped, tired and guilty. He's my boss, Logan. What do you want me to say? Then immediately regretted it. I'm sorry, I sighed, running a hand through my hair. It's just a lot right now. So much pressure. The truth was messier than pressure. I liked the way Julian challenged me intellectually. I liked the access he provided. And yes, I liked the way he looked at me, not with love and familiarity like Logan, but with an intense, focused interest that felt new and exciting. It fed my ego. I told myself I was leveraging his attention for my career, that the flutter in my chest when he was near was just excitement about professional possibilities. But deep down, I knew I was playing with fire. My colleague Sarah, a friendly face who was also ambitious, noticed too. Working late with Julian again? She'd ask, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Must be serious stuff happening. It was a casual comment, but it put me on edge. People were watching. The line between professional and personal blurred faster than I anticipated. Late-night strategy sessions turned into conversations that felt increasingly intimate, fueled by shared wine and the adrenaline of ambition. Julian was skilled at making me feel unique, important, like I was the only one who truly understood his vision. He subtly probed my personal life, finding little gaps or dissatisfactions I hadn't even fully admitted to myself, and positioned himself as the one who could offer more. It wasn't just about climbing the corporate ladder anymore. It was about escaping, about excitement, about feeling seen in a different light. I knew I was crossing lines I'd promised Logan I never would. But the potential payoff, both professionally and emotionally, felt too intoxicating to resist. My ambition wasn't just leading me up, it was leading me astray. The growing distance between me and Logan was a chasm I actively widened. I'd bring work home, burying myself in emails or reports, using it as an excuse to avoid connecting. Our movie nights dwindled. Weekend hikes were replaced with urgent work tasks Julian needed input on. Logan tried. He'd bring me coffee, ask about my day with genuine interest, suggest we do something, anything together. But my answers were short, distracted, focused on the world Julian now occupied. I was choosing the thrill of the chase over the comfort of my anchor. Then came the anniversary. Our 6th. Not a huge milestone, but important to us. Logan had planned a whole evening, booked tickets to a concert we'd wanted to see for months, the kind we'd saved up for. He left work early, picked up my favorite flowers, cooked dinner. I walked in late, rushing in after a critical planning session with Julian that had run over, my mind still buzzing from our conversation. I saw the flowers, the candles, Logan standing there, looking hopeful. My stomach dropped. Logan. Oh my God. He smiled. A hesitant, fragile smile. Happy anniversary, Riley. Concerts at 8. Panic seized me. I had completely forgotten. Erased it from my mind in the blur of Julian's demands and my own desires. I completely forgot. I stammered, the words tasting like ash. Tears welled up immediately, not just from guilt, but from the crushing weight of realizing what I had done. We were finalizing the quarterly report, and Julian needed. Julian, Logan finished, his voice flat, all hope vanishing from his face. I started sobbing then, deep, racking sobs that shook my whole body. He just held me, letting me cry into his shoulder. I'm so sorry. I kept repeating, the apology feeling utterly inadequate. I've been so caught up in everything. It's been so crazy with the new VP. He didn't say much more. We ate the cold dinner in silence. I promised to make it up to him, swore I was just overwhelmed. He listened, his face unreadable. I wanted to fix it. I truly did. But the gravitational pull of Julian, of the path I was now on, felt too strong. A few weeks later, Julian mentioned the business trip again. A conference in Boston. It's critical for the department, he said, pulling me into his office, closing the door. And I need you there, Riley. Just you and me. No distractions. We can really leverage this time. The implication was crystal clear. He wasn't talking about just strategy sessions. A jolt went through me, excitement, fear, and a final decisive click. I was going. I pushed down the guilt, the image of Logan's face when I forgot our anniversary. This was my choice now. That night, I told Logan about the trip over breakfast, keeping my voice casual. Conference in Boston next weekend. Oh hey, that's great, he said, looking up. Want me to drive you to the airport? I can drop you off on my way to the office. I avoided his eyes, buttering my toast. No, that's okay. Julian's actually picking me up. We're carpooling. To save on parking. The lie felt thin, pathetic. A coldness settled in the air. Carpooling, Logan repeated, not a question. I thought you said it was a departmental trip? It is, I said quickly, forcing a smile. Julian's just the only one leaving from our side of town. It sounded ridiculous even to me. He just nodded slowly, his gaze making my skin prickle. Later that evening, while I was upstairs packing for the trip, running through checklists in my head, Logan was downstairs. I didn't know what he was doing. Bored, restless maybe? Our home security system stored footage for 2 months. Logan had set it up himself, of course, peak cybersecurity husband move. He'd always said it was for peace of mind, a simple measure. He sometimes cleared out the older footage to free up space. He told me later, much later, what happened. He sat down at his computer in the home office, ostensibly to delete old files. He scrolled back, day by day, watching the mundane recordings of us coming and going. And then he saw it. Last Wednesday night. Julian's car pulling up late, long after our planning session should have ended. Me getting out. Julian walking me to the door. They talked for a minute. And then Julian leaned in. And kissed me. Not a quick peck. A real, lingering kiss. And I didn't pull away. Logan watched it. The world stopped. The quiet house filled with a roaring in his ears, a sound only he could hear. He walked back to our bedroom like a man in a daze. My suitcase for Boston was open on the bed. His hands shaking, he started digging through it. Beneath my sensible work clothes, tucked away in a side pocket, he found them. Fine red lace lingerie I'd bought specifically for this trip. A small, discreet pack of condoms. Things not meant for him. Things meant for Julian. The evidence was so undeniable, so blatant, it felt like an insult. Had I really thought I was being clever? He grabbed a piece of paper, started to write something long, angry, filled with pain and questions. Then he stopped, crossed it all out. In the exact center of the blank page, he wrote 2 words. 2 simple, devastating words. The end. He folded the note and tucked it deep into my suitcase, where he knew I would find it. His hands moved automatically then, pulling clothes from his dresser, toiletries from the bathroom counter. He didn't pack much. Just the essentials. Enough for a few days, enough to start. The next morning, I left for my business trip. Logan was up. Quiet. I gave him a quick kiss goodbye at the door, bag in hand. Okay, I'm off, I said, trying to sound normal. I'll miss you. He looked at me, his eyes unreadable. Not angry. Not sad. Just empty. He nodded once. Have a safe flight, Riley. I walked out, got in Julian's waiting car, and drove away. As soon as the car turned the corner at the end of the street, Logan put his own packed bags in his trunk and drove away too. No argument. No shouting. No tears shared. Just gone. Vanished. The hotel was exactly what you'd expect. Sleek, modern, a bit impersonal, trying too hard to be trendy. Julian checked us in, all charm and confidence. He handed me the key card. 1 room, I said, trying to keep my voice casual, though my heart was doing a nervous flutter. He gave me that smile. More convenient, he said. And more fun. A part of me, the part one had been nurturing over the past weeks, felt a rush of excitement. This was it. The fantasy was becoming real. I pushed away the persistent, dull ache of guilt about Logan. He felt miles away, in a different lifetime. I deserved this, didn't I? A little excitement. I'll head up, unpack, freshen up, I said. Meet you downstairs? Sounds good, Julian replied. Up in the room, I opened my suitcase, reaching for my makeup bag. My fingers brushed against something unexpected, a piece of paper tucked deep inside a side pocket. It hadn't been there when I packed. Confused, I pulled it out. My name was written on the outside, in Logan's familiar handwriting. A curious frown on my face, I unfolded it. 2 words. In the middle of the page. The end. I stared at it. Utter confusion for a split second. Then, understanding hit me like a physical blow. He knew. The note fluttered from my numb fingers. I scrambled for my phone, hands shaking, and called Logan. Straight to voicemail. I sent a barrage of texts. Logan, please. Call me. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. No response. Nothing. The door opened. Julian walked in smiling, loosening his tie slightly. Ready to hit the bar? I held up the crumpled note, my voice trembling. My husband. He knows. Julian didn't flinch. He shrugged, that same infuriatingly casual gesture. So, isn't this what you wanted? Now you can end things with him, and we don't have to sneak around. His response was like a bucket of ice water. End things with Logan? Just like that? He didn't care about my marriage, my life, my world that had just imploded. He only cared that the obstacle was gone. I need to go home, I stammered, already fumbling with my suitcase, pulling out clothes. Riley, don't be dramatic, Julian said, his tone shifting to annoyed. He'll cool off. They always do. They. The word hung in the air. They. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw it. The pattern. The calculation. How many married women have you done this with, Julian? His expression, a subtle flicker of smugness behind the annoyance, told me everything I needed to know. I'd been such a fool. Not just to Logan, but to myself. I practically ran out of the hotel. At the airport, I begged for a seat on the next flight home, paying an obscene amount for a last-minute ticket. The flight was a blur of agony. All I could think about was Logan. Memories flooded back, the way he made coffee exactly how I liked it, how he always remembered my favorite obscure ice cream flavor, the sound of his laugh that could instantly lift my mood. 6 years of quiet, unwavering love and trust. Thrown away for, what? A cheap thrill, a shallow fantasy that evaporated the second it was exposed. What had I done? When I finally got home, it was late. The house was dark, silent. Eerily silent. Logan. I called out, my voice small, knowing there would be no answer. His car wasn't in the driveway. I turned on lights as I moved through the rooms, each one feeling foreign and empty. In our bedroom, the signs were clear. His dresser drawers partly empty, his closet missing the clothes he wore most often. I sat on our bed, still made from that morning, the last morning of my old life. Desperate, I grabbed my phone and called Thomas, Logan's best friend. It was after midnight, but he answered, his voice guarded. Thomas, it's Riley. Where is he? You've got some nerve, Riley, Thomas said, his voice cold and hard. No warmth, no sympathy. Just judgment. Please, I choked out, tears streaming down my face. I need to talk to him. I need to explain. He doesn't want to talk to you, Thomas stated flatly. Thomas, please. I made a terrible mistake. A terrible one. Just tell him I'm home. Tell him I'm sorry. Please. A long pause stretched between us, heavy with unspoken disappointment. Yeah, Thomas finally said, his voice softening slightly, but not towards me. You did. I'll pass it along. Don't expect much, though. He hung up. I called Ethan next, Logan's younger cousin, who I was also friendly with. Ethan answered, sounding hesitant and sad. Riley? Oh, hey. Ethan, hi, I said, my voice shaking. Do you know where Logan is? I came home, and he's gone. Ethan sighed, a sound of deep disappointment. Riley, I know. Look, I can't tell you where he is. He's really hurting, you know? We all are. I can't get involved, okay? I'm sorry. I really thought. He trailed off, unable to finish. It was clear he saw my actions as a betrayal not just of Logan, but of the family they were. Another door closed. I was utterly, terrifyingly alone. Monday arrived, harsh and unforgiving. I had to go to work. Walking into the office felt like entering an arena where everyone was a spectator to my downfall. Julian was there, of course, looking perfectly composed. He caught my eye across the room and walked over, pulling me aside. Riley, he said quietly, his voice low. About this weekend. There's nothing to discuss, I cut him off, my voice firm despite the tremor in my hands. It was a mistake. It won't happen again. His charming facade dropped instantly, replaced by a cold, hard look. That's your call, he said, his smile not reaching his eyes. Just remember who evaluates your performance. And who holds significant influence in this company. Are you threatening me? I asked, a surge of anger overriding my fear. Of course not, he said smoothly, but the look in his eyes was unmistakable. Just clarifying our professional relationship moving forward. He walked away, leaving me shaking with a mixture of fear and fury. I had traded Logan's steady support for this man's toxic power games. The weeks that followed were a living hell. The whispers followed me everywhere. Sarah, my colleague, now pointedly avoided me, or offered brittle, overly formal politeness. I saw her talking to Julian, sometimes laughing. Soon, projects I had been slated to lead were reassigned to others, including Mark, a colleague with less experience but seemingly untouched by scandal. The new VP, Julian's immediate boss, brought in after Julian's quick departure, which happened soon after, called me in. Riley, she said, her tone cool and professional. We need a fresh start for the department. A new direction. Mark will be heading up the major new initiative. What she meant was, I was tainted goods. I was being sidelined, effectively demoted without a change in title or pay. The consequences weren't confined to work. My attempts to contact Logan continued, futilely. I tried calling his old work number, Learned he was no longer with the company. Emails bounced back. His social media profiles seemed to have vanished or been scrubbed clean. I realized he wasn't just ghosting me. He was systematically erasing himself from my life, using his formidable skills to cut every single tie. Then came the notice on the door of our house. A legal document. Logan had terminated our lease. I had 30 days to move out. The house we had chosen together, painted, filled with our memories. It was being taken away. Finding a new place was a nightmare. My credit was tied up with Logan's. Most of our savings had been in accounts only he could access now. All I had was my diminished salary, barely enough for a tiny studio apartment in a neighborhood where I felt afraid walking home after dark. Mr. Henderson, the landlord, was polite but firm when I called, explaining Logan had simply exercised a clause in the lease perfectly legally. It was impersonal, cold, just another consequence delivered by paperwork. Overwhelmed, alone, and losing everything, I finally sought help. I found a therapist, Dr. Evans. The first few sessions were just me crying, a tangled mess of regret, fear, and confusion. He's just gone, I'd sob. How can he just erase 6 years? Dr. Evans listened patiently. After a few weeks, she started gently pushing back. Riley, she said one session, her voice kind but firm. Dave has made his choice. You need to accept that this chapter is closed. But how? I cried. How can he just undo us? The same way you undid your vows, she said quietly. When you chose to have an affair. Actions have consequences, Riley. Painful ones. But they are still consequences of choices that were made. It hurt to hear raw, painful truth. But she was right. This wasn't just happening to me. I had played a starring role in the destruction. The news about Julian broke like a bomb in the office. Corporate security, followed by official-looking people who identified themselves as being from a federal agency, escorted Julian from the building with a box of his personal effects. His face was pale with shock. The official story that circulated was corporate espionage, selling highly sensitive company information to competitors, caught due to a sophisticated, anonymous tip. My analytical mind immediately started working. Julian was arrogant and unethical. Yes, but corporate spy. It didn't fit his ego-driven style. The details that leaked about how he was caught, specific altered digital logs, data transfers traced to shell companies. They sounded familiar. They sounded exactly like the kind of digital breadcrumbs someone with Logan's unique skill set would know how to find, or even create. A chilling realization washed over me. This wasn't just a happy coincidence. This was Logan. He hadn't just left. He had used his brilliance, his deep knowledge of systems and data, to systematically dismantle Julian's career as an act of cold, calculated revenge. And the ripple effects, Julian being gone, my association with him exposed, my job suffering, were all part of the fallout, a consequence of his retribution that also landed squarely on me. The man who had protected companies from online threats had turned his skills inwards, not just to erase himself from my life, but to erase Julian from his position of power in a way that felt like ultimate, untraceable justice. The thought was terrifying and, perversely, it highlighted the formidable intelligence I had betrayed. 6 months after Logan left, I was slowly putting the pieces of my shattered life back together. My tiny apartment felt less like a temporary holding cell and more like just home for now. Therapy was helping. I was starting to see my own patterns, my own hunger for validation and success that had blinded me. One evening, scrolling mindlessly online, I stumbled across a business news article about a major new cybersecurity project launch in Dubai. And there he was, Logan, featured prominently, looking confident and successful. The article mentioned his leadership on the project and, almost as an aside, referenced his recent marriage. My breath hitched. Beside him in one of the photos, smiling up at him, was a beautiful woman I'd never seen before. The caption mentioned Logan Smith and his wife, Anya. New couple. His wife. I stared at the photo until my eyes blurred, tears silently running down my face. He looked happy. Genuinely happy. In a way I hadn't seen him look in the final months of our marriage. He had moved on. Completely. To another country, another life, another woman. The finality of it hit me with a force that stole the air from my lungs. I called Dr. Evans's emergency line, barely able to speak through the sobs. She talked me down, her calm voice grounding me. "This feels like the end, doesn't it, Riley?" she said softly. "But it's really just consequence." And recognizing that difference, that's growth. A week later, it arrived. A large envelope from a law firm I didn't recognize, addressed to me. Inside were divorce papers, already signed by Logan, sent from a firm in Dubai. No letter, no note, just the cold, legal documents and instructions for where to send my signed copy. I sat at my tiny kitchen table in my sad little apartment, staring at the papers. This was it. The final, official closing of the door. The legal dissolution of everything we were. I thought about contesting it, delaying, forcing him to at least acknowledge me in court. But Dr. Evans's words echoed. Actions have consequences. What would be the point? More pain? Hadn't there been enough? With a trembling hand, I picked up a pen. I signed my name on the dotted line, below his. I addressed the return envelope to his lawyer in Dubai. I walked it down to the mailbox, the familiar weight of the envelope feeling impossibly heavy. I dropped it in. It was done. The marriage that I had gambled away for ambition and excitement was officially over, ended not with a bang, but with the quiet click of a mailbox slot closing. That night, I didn't cry. I felt empty but also strangely calm. I opened my laptop. I deleted the fake Instagram account I'd created to occasionally glimpse Ryan's, Thomas's friend posts, hoping for news of Logan. I deleted the folder on my hard drive filled with photos of us. I deleted the draft emails I had written to Logan but never sent. It was a digital cleanse, a final act of letting go. Sometimes, Dr. Evans had said, the only way forward is to stop looking back. I closed my laptop. The apartment was silent. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in a long time, the silence felt less like an accusation and more like an empty space waiting to be filled, perhaps finally, by just me.